All right, welcome back. So we've talked about how we store stress and trauma in procedural and event memories. We've talked about how we become activated in responses to stress and trauma in our autonomic nervous system. Sometimes dealing with stress and trauma in our nervous system and bringing up and processing these event memories feels bad. There are some risks here. And we need to talk about the risks to this work and what you can do to reduce those risks. When the autonomic nervous system begins to release through these somatic exercises that we're going to do, it's one of these automatic bottom-up responses. So it's not about stories or narratives or cognitions. It's not cognitive therapy. It's a bottom-up response. It's this procedural stuff. It just sort of happens on its own. Moving through the autonomic states, those 5 states, going from right to left, your symptoms very well might increase in severity before they pass. An activated nervous system can be scary, it can be painful, and it can feel a lot worse before it feels better. Take my word for it. So, you might end a session, you might, in the middle of a session, you might feel pretty bad. And sometimes, in between sessions, you might feel kind of bad. It might just sort of pop up randomly, and you just feel angry or sad or alone, that no one cares about you. And you might think that this is because of your job or your spouse or your therapist, and you're justified in feeling mad at them. But maybe it's not actually about them. Maybe it's because we're working with your nervous system, we're working with procedural and event memories, and there's some lingering charge in between sessions. The way to deal with that lingering charge is through resourcing. Before I talk about that, though, I want to make very clear that if you're in between sessions and you think that your spouse or your job or your therapist is a jerk and they hate you and they're mistreating you, maybe they are. I might not actually be good at my job. I might be causing you harm. The fancy medical term for that is iatrogenic harm, and it happens all too often. So your doctors or your boss, maybe they're actually being mean to you. Maybe you have every right, and it is accurate for you to be mad or afraid or feeling alone in between sessions. And it might be correct for you to feel those things at me. Or it might have absolutely nothing to do with me or your boss or your kids or your spouse. And it might really be that an event from your childhood or from earlier in your life that we've been working on in therapy, it might still be kind of sticking around in your body, in your nervous system, and we haven't fully dealt with it and processed it yet. Either way, something you can do to take care of yourself is resourcing. And another thing that I hope that you can do for yourself is to talk to me about it, or to talk to a trusted, neutral third party about your feelings and your response, your experience. So regardless of where these feelings are coming from, it's pretty unpleasant, and you need to do some resourcing. What is resourcing? Well, it's either an activity that you do, it's a memory of something that you did do, or it could even be a fantasy, a favorite character or event from a novel or a TV show. And recalling one of these things or doing one of these things, the point of it is to shift your nervous system back towards state 0, towards that feeling settled and calm and connected. The point of resourcing, and really the point of this therapy in general, is to reclaim your body, is so that your body is a good, positive, safe thing. It requires repetition. Remember, that's the whole thing with procedural memory, is that you're doing it over and over again. Resourcing requires repetition. You got to do it in between sessions. You got to do it all the time until you have some level of being able to regulate your own internal state. If you do resourcing a whole bunch, you're going to increase your ability to feel positive, good things. And you're going to be able to feel in your body instead of in your mind intellectually or kind of floating like a ghost through the hallways. You're going to actually have a body and be comfortable in it. This is going to make trauma work so much easier and better if you have a good sense of resourcing. The better you get at it, the deeper you're going to be able to go. And it's basically necessary. This isn't really an optional thing here. You're going to be required to figure out resourcing when you're doing deep work with me, with someone else, on your own later in life. You got to get a sense of resourcing. You can think of it like this. If you've got a balance, you've got a little scale here that can tip on one side or the other. On the left side of this scale is all the stress, trauma, heartache, difficulty, everything that life has thrown at you, all the bad stuff, all the places that you have felt trapped and unsupported and unloved, all that's on the left. And on the right, all the good things, all the ease and joy and connection and warmth and relaxation. You need to have some kind of balance between the stress on the left and the relaxation on the right. If you don't have balance, you're not going to be able to do trauma work. It doesn't have to be exactly precisely balanced. And honestly, who in this day and age feels joy and warmth and connection all the time anyway? It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to have some ability to balance yourself out. ANS activation is your body's way of taking care of itself, of looking for solutions. And if you don't have resources or solutions in your daily life, your body isn't going to let you go to these stressful and traumatic places. Even if you consciously report that you're ready to do the work, your body and mind are going to enact natural defensive limitations to prevent you from doing the work. So ask yourself, are you resourced? Just think about it. On an average week, how often do you feel good and nourished? And how often do you feel stressed and overwhelmed? How often do you do things that you love? What's it feel like when you do things that you love? Can you come up with 10 or 15 things that feel good? Can you feel connected to good relationships with friends, pets, social groups? Resources can be internal or external. An internal resource might be a memory of your mom's cooking, or a character or a scene from your favorite book, like The Lord of the Rings. It could be an external resource, like exercise, playing with pets, going for a walk. So just think about resources, practice resources. You're going to practice resources during sessions with me, and you're going to practice resourcing in between sessions. So get used to it. We can talk more about what resourcing is for you.